Hey, this is David Perdue, MyNAMS.com, Novice to Advanced Marketing System, and we are starting up our 90-day up-level challenge graduation ceremony tonight. It's really exciting to have these people here because these guys were a lot of fun to go through this process with. They were diligent and they were serious and they set really high goals and they went right for it. So we have a ton of people on the call here tonight with us, a lot of students who participated. We still have some students who couldn't participate. And I'm going to ask you guys to mute yourselves until we're ready for you to jump in, and I'll call you in when we're ready for that, because we're going to talk about your accomplishments during this entire thing. And this is kind of the walk across the stage, right? So you're going to get your chance to talk about it and what you accomplished during this process. And I'm going to describe first, for those of you just coming in, what we did, what the 90-day up-level challenge is. And if you have any questions, be sure to drop them in the box here in the chat box. And I'm assuming you can hear me and see me just fine. This is a little out of my norm. You'll notice I don't have my regular background. I'm down at my folks' house sitting in the kitchen down in Florida. For those of you who might know, my dad is in the hospital and where they're having surgery tomorrow to replace his hip on his other side. And so that's the reason I'm down here. And it's going well. We expect everything to be good. So I will post something about it on Facebook tomorrow. So I've got a little presentation queued up here for us. But the first thing I wanted to talk about was basically this challenge and how it came about. People have been pushing me, and Kelly, who I see is in the middle of the screen at the bottom, is probably the biggest instigator on this, has been pushing me for a long time to do more coaching, to set up more mastermind, and to really get people together to facilitate, really, levels, to facilitate the levels that we move through in our NAMS group. And we're going to talk about those levels, what they are, and how they really drive everything that we do. Thanks, Kat. I'm glad to hear from you guys that you can hear and see fine. We're going to make sure that everybody does get this on a replay as well, so if you're interested in that, it'll be coming up available. All right. So I've resisted that for a long time because, to tell the truth, as I sent out my email today, the most important thing to me about my business is flexibility and the ability to do what I want when I need to do it. And so I did not want to be tied down. The one thing about coaching was that I didn't want to be tied down. I was a consultant for many years, and that was be in the office when you needed to be in the office, to make a presentation when you needed to make the presentation, and I really like having the ability to run my own schedule. So I said for a long time that I was not interested in doing coaching. And then I got a coach. I've had a coach for a long time, but I've never had a coach who pushed me. But I got a coach, Alex Mendosian, who said, you need to do this, and you need to respond to these folks and give them what they want. So at the last NAMS workshop, Alex pushed me in front of 300 people there live to really come up with a coaching program that solved a lot of problems for a lot of folks. And that's what I did. But I wanted it to do it my way. And of course, you know, I want to do everything my way. And my way is to make sure that people take action and that they have a goal set so that they move to the next level. So that was really why we set up this 90-day up-level challenge. And I really do believe, the name is hard to say, it's 90-day up-level challenge, but I really do believe that it says exactly what we're doing. So someone in the 100 group, we want them to take a goal, to have a goal, and move to the 200 level. From the 200 to the 300, 300 to the 400, and 400, we just want you to build your business further and build more assets and more income and more sustainable exit strategy, business, whatever you can do in the 400 to build further your business. So it was very successful. I think it was very successful. Everybody accomplished the goals that at least their minimum goals. They had the stretch goals as well. Some accomplished those even, some did not. And we're going to talk about some of that as well this evening. So hang in here. We'll try to not be too long. And And if I just had a little background music, I should have the pomp and circumstance playing, you know, but I don't. And so we're going to get started with this presentation. Just 1 second. Let me drag it up here. And you should be seeing it now. Whoops, except we're on the back end, not the front end. Here we go. So you should be seeing this now. It says 90-day up-level challenge, celebrating achievement with graduation. If you're having any trouble seeing this PowerPoint presentation, let me know. But I believe we're good to go. Okay. So what are the levels? I get this question a lot, so I wanted to make sure that we brought this out right up front. NAMS 100 is for people who don't necessarily have a website, don't necessarily have a niche yet. They probably have never made a sale. Now they might have made a sale. They could have seen a sale, and they could have made a sale in you know, affiliate marketing or by accident or whatever, but they're not really making sales. So they're really just intrigued about the business. NAMS 200, these are people who are a little more than a beginner. They've got a blog or they've got a website, and they're making sales already, but just occasionally, not very frequently, and they aren't sure why at all, ever. So they really don't know why they're making sales, but they would like to make a lot more. They're more than intrigued. They see the potential. The NAMS 300 group is a group that I love the NAMS 300 group because these poor people are working their fannies off. They are making enough money to supplement the family income, to either pay the car payment or the house payment. Maybe they're making the insurance payments, you know, or maybe they're just saving for vacations. These guys are making some money, and they see a ton of potential because they know at this point that all they have to do is scale and kind of clone themselves, and they're going to be doing a really good job of making more money. And in fact, can go from a part-time business to a full-time business, which is exactly what NAMS 400 is all about. These guys have the ability to go full-time online business if they want to. There's a lot of folks who don't want to because they have a really good gig and they're close to retirement and all of that other stuff. But they have a plan. But they're making good money already. And they are learning how to manage their business without being in the business, right? They're building assets. They're building streams of income. They're doing a really good job here, and they want to build an exit strategy, not that they want to get out, but when you have an exit strategy, you have a clear business line. So sustainability, more business assets, and the ability to scale and make more money. That's what the NAMS 400 group is all about. So we had people in each of these. Now the reason these levels are important is that when we do the 90-day up-level challenge, we are telling people in the 100 group, in 90 days, we're going to move you to the 200 group. From the 200 group, you're going to go into the 300 group. Now that's pretty substantial promise, because that means that somebody who is in the 100 group is going to have defined their niche, have a website, and be making some sales, or at least moving into the direction of their niche. 200 people to move into the 300 group are actually looking to build systems and build additional sales and looking to scale and know exactly how to drive traffic, why they're doing what they're doing. Okay? In the 300 moving up to the 400, these folks are making substantial amount more money. And I was really tickled with some of the results that we had in the 300 and 400 groups as we went along the way. So this is where we delivered our training, and as you can see, we have a course for each. Now this is important because each group is dealt with specifically in their track. So just like we try to do the workshop and the MyNAMS training system, we try to get you focused on your track so you don't learn what you don't need to know. So we had a 100 group and a 200 group and a 300 group and a 400 group. You could not access the other groups. You can only access one group. And it was delivered via this special website. This is what the 100 looks like when you get inside, and actually all of them pretty much look the same when you start this process. So we had 12 modules, one for each week, and we had a welcome a welcome video. I tried to scroll down on my PowerPoint presentation, thinking that was my web page. Didn't work. And then you have a checklist over here to check off your progress as you're going through this course, that you've done all of the tasks that we have in there. And it's a really good software. It's brand new software. We're just using it, just learning about it, just building it out, and we're learning a lot as we go along through this. And there were some hiccups with this, but I think we got a lot of those worked out. Okay, so when people finished this, everyone received the certificate of graduation. And you can see here that it's a pretty nice little certificate, suitable for framing, and you can put your, we put your name in here and put alumni or alumna, depending on whether you were male or female, in the gold seal here, because the alumni of the 90-day up level challenge get really special discounts on other stuff that we are doing, including the next workshops, the next 90-day up level workshops. So we'll talk about that as well in a few minutes. And we distributed these this week. Everybody got them, and I'm really excited to say that it was a big success for all folks who were involved. So how did this work? It was 12 weeks, planning and execution. We spent a lot of time in the planning. In the first 4 weeks, we did a lot of what I call inner game. We spent a lot of time getting inside your head, figuring out what your vision was, figuring out what your goals were, trying to get you focused on creating a plan for those goals, an achievable plan for those goals, trying to make sure it was something that lived up to your values, something that helped you. I'll give you an example, and Sheila will be on here in a minute, and she'll talk about it too. But Sheila was kind of going in a couple of different directions, but I knew that her passion was creativity. And so when we talked about the opportunities that she had in front of her and the assets that she had in her at her fingertips, one of those things that I really pushed her to look at was using those assets that she had to create a photo package. She's an excellent photographer. She loves it. So to be able to go out and do that and make money from it is a big success in my mind, even if it is a small success, because you can build on it for all of that other, all of the other lines of income that you're going to create. Week 1 was an intake call to begin designing your vision. So it's a one-on-one 30-minute call with me, and we spent that was a full week. So we spend 30 minutes together going through building a mind map, and you can use that mind map. I give that mind map to you then for you to actually build your action plan as you go through this process. I talked about the track-specific course, but Monday night calls were group calls for 30 minutes where we reviewed progress, issues, and next steps. I can't remember who said it in one of their testimonial videos, but somebody said that he loved the way that he or she loved the way that I worked because it was a no-nonsense, very business-like. Well, in 30 minutes, you don't have a whole lot of time for chit-chat. So we would get in there and just go bang, bang, bang. What did you get done? What's next? What problems are you having? And so that's how we conducted those calls every Monday night. Taking massive action and massive accountability. That was really important, one of our guiding principles in this course. And what I told the students from the very beginning was, you will be a mentor and a mentee. So if you go back to our 100, 200, 300, 400 tracks, what we did was someone in the 100 group would be a mentee to someone in the 200 group. So someone in the 200 group not only was a mentee to someone in the 300 group, but they were a mentor to somebody in the 100 group. So it was creating a community and creating some accountability and creating some relationships that are continuing on even beyond this course with those folks. And one of the things I loved about that is that carried over a lot into the Facebook group that we have as well. So if you don't understand the mentor-mentee concept, it can get a little confusing. Post a question about it in here and I'll explain a little bit more about this. The focus of the mentor-mentee relationship, though, was on this next bullet, was daily accountability with your partner. So if you were in the 200 group, and let's see, I'm going to look down here and see, oh, I know that Sheila and Ellen, the Finkelstein girls, unrelated, were mentor-mentee. Sheila was the mentee to Ellen. And I know that one of the things that they did on a daily basis was they connected via Skype or Facebook message and sometimes via phone. And Ellen was very helpful to Sheila in bouncing ideas and those kind of things. Now, Ellen, I forget who your mentor was, but she had a mentor that she went to as well. Ellen, who was your mentor?
Gary, and he was very helpful to me.
Yeah. So Ellen, and I've chose these people for each of them, by the way, because Ellen said in her original vision that one of her goals was to build better systems. Gary is a system guy. So it was important for me to hook Ellen up with Gary so that Gary could give her the benefit of his business model and system and project management expertise. All right. Let's see. The next thing was track-specific discussion to focus on knowing what you need to know to move forward. So in those Monday night calls, people asked me if they could sit in on the other groups, and I said no. And this at the workshop, I don't do that. At the workshop, I don't say you have to go to track 100, you have to go to track 200, depending on where you are. But in this group, I said no, you can't sit in on those calls because I don't want you to get unfocused. The whole thing about this 90-day up-level challenge was that people were incredibly focused, and we pushed on them every week to stay focused and you know, I might pick on some people here in a minute to give some examples, so be prepared, Donald, and other folks here about the focus part of this. So week 4 was difficult because we'd done this inner game, remember? And at week 4, I actually did an interview with each person then. Their assignment was to go off and evaluate their internal blocks and their external blocks. And I went out and also identify what you were great at. We called that your superpower. So what what made you special was your superpower. So we went in in week 4, and I interviewed each person for at least 30 minutes, and we talked about your internal block and your external blocks. Sometimes the internal blocks were not what you thought they were. Sometimes you would give me an answer of what you thought it was, and I would poke it, like you do a bear sometimes. And I would poke it and really question if that was really the block. And I like doing that. I'm good at doing that. That's something I was able to do in the corporate world really well. And people responded to that really well here as well. They were not afraid. And because it was one-on-one and it was private, they were able to go really deep into what was holding them back. Week 8 to 12 was massive execution. From 4 to 8, we did a lot of planning and a lot of evaluation of where you were. And for some folks, we were doing a lot of execution even at that point because you had already built out your action plan. But between 4 and 8, we did a lot of planning and evaluation because we wanted to see what you had, where was the low-hanging fruit, what was going to be the easiest way for you to achieve your goals. That got kind of irritating to some folks because they really want to go out and execute. Gary and I share the same corporate background, not at the same company, but we have the same kind of background. And Gary, if you don't mind, unmute for a second. One of the biggest issues that I always fell into when I was doing consulting was that people wanted to get away from design and planning way too fast and into execution and then they had to go back and redo. Did you find that?
Yeah, I think that's pretty common, and the key is to figure out ways to kind of give us actions and get right in doing things while we're still planning maybe the next step. So having a sequence of 12 weeks, even for the people that want to plan out, gave us some good structure, and for the people that don't like to plan, there's already a plan kind of laid out for you, so it was good.
Right, and that's one of the reasons that we worked with the mind map in the beginning, was to give people the ability to capture all of that information as we went. So thanks, Gary. And then the other pieces of this that we wanted to walk through was that we had a private Facebook group for daily questions, wins, and issues. We got a lot of support in there. We got a lot of participation. Some people participated a lot more than others, and that's the way it works always. And you know, it's just unfortunate that everybody doesn't realize what a value that is, but it's also something that you know, when people are cooking along, they got their nose down and they're trying to accomplish their goal, and sometimes they can't get in there to do what they do. But when somebody asks a question in there, they got good answers, so that was really good. The daily accountability, I talked about that with partners, and then the people who finish this get the super alumni discount on future 90-day up-level challenges, and they don't know this yet, but we're going to have some recognition and some competition at the NAMS workshop, and we're going to crown our winner of the 90-day up-level challenge, basically, through some of our competition between now and then for all of our workshop folks. I mean our up-level challenge folks. So who are the students? Let's just go across this really quickly. Here's Kelly McCausey, and you'll see some of these people in the bottom down here of the Hangout screen. Kelly McCausey, Deborah Lloyd, Ellen Finkelstein, Gary Huff, Sheila Finkelstein, Stan Gould, this is Rolf Goodhart, Donald Spanitz. I knew I would do this. Howard Giles, Kathy Pop, Millicent Perry, Therese Sparby, and Paul Taubman. You'll notice some of these are also instructors at NAMS. Let's see, that's 1, 2, 3, 4 people who have been instructors at NAMS, and I was delighted to have them in here as well. So I really appreciate you guys being there and learning everything that you did. Now we're going to go through these. I'm going to let these guys talk kind of in this order and talk about what they accomplished, what their goal was, and what they accomplished. So Kelly, if you would, just unmute yourself.
Hey.
Kelly, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for being here, and tell people what your big goal was, because when you told me, I was like, holy cow, we're never going to make that.
Well, my goal was to generate an additional $15,000 by the end of the challenge.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I didn't know how I was going to do it either.
But
well, I did it. I've actually as of 2 weeks ago, I had put an extra $8,000 into my pocket, and there's an additional, the rest of that, I've actually made $17,000, $8,000 in my hand, and the rest is recurring income that'll come in over the next 6 months.
Cool. So you felt like that was a big success for you, I believe.
I do. You know, I have a pretty decent income that comes in. I have a pretty reliable recurring income. But seeing the extra $2,000 in recurring, you know, when I look in my shopping cart, I can see how much is coming in the next month, and I saw that number grow significantly right at the end of October. I had some things that I had been working and hustling on that were all culminating at once. And it was exciting to see my PayPal account fill up with cash, but even more exciting to think that's $2,000 more a month. And some of that the 2,000 will stay within 6 months, but there's other recurring income that will last as long as a year. So it's had a pretty amazing impact.
Cool.
I'm very happy.
Thank you for that. The next person on our list was Deborah. Deborah, tell people what you did and what your story is.
Hi, I had a brand new business that I wanted to start, and I wanted to kickstart it. And so I set myself an initial goal of making or generating $2,000 a month additional recurring revenue, and I hit that before we were finished. So I actually put that stretch goal out to 4,000, and I was able to hit that. And actually, right now it's looking at 4,197 per month of recurring income, and all of that is on 6-month contracts that are actually set up to auto-renew.
Cool.
So unless I mess up, those should be auto-renewing. But mostly what I got from this was the focus and the systems. Because I know at one point I said to you, David, I've got this great idea for a product. And you said, no, you can't do that yet. So I was like, oh, okay, but that's what I needed.
Yeah.
And the other thing was that the inner game, I have never really looked at the inner game. I've always just flown by the seat of my pants before. So looking at the inner game and the whole mind mapping thing just really... I've looked at mind mapping before and I've used it a little bit, but I've always kind of fallen off the wagon and not got into it. But now, in this challenge, it became a daily thing. I had my mind map open. I had my weekly tasks, my 5 weekly goals.
Right.
And that was great because this is not the only thing that I'm doing. So one of my external blocks is getting distracted or pulled in a different direction. Mm-hmm. So having that open on my desktop and just going, okay, where was I? You took a phone call or you went to deal, for me it's sometimes dealing with my parents and stuff. And, that happens, and it happens to everybody. But,
yeah, just two things here, and just briefly, I want you to describe what this extra, what reaching your goal really meant for you. And where you are in your life right now.
Right. Well, I'm a single mom. My daughter just graduated college in May. She's got herself a job, and it's not in her field, but some of what I do actually is related to her field because she's a video editor. And I wanted to start this business so that I could throw work to her. But the reason I also wanted to do that was to generate additional income because my parents are in their 80s, and I wanted to be able to help them. And so it's really, before it was just a struggle to try to juggle, I felt like those old-time variety guys that are running around, spinning plates, and I was always just running around spinning this one just enough to keep it up in the air, and I'd run over here and do something else. And you don't... It's like the whole thing, the multitasking, somebody was talking about this the other day, doesn't work. If you look at the printer, fax, scanner, copier, it does all of those jobs kind of okay, but it doesn't do any one of them brilliantly.
Right. So the thing about what you just said was, and the reason I pushed you so hard on focus was when we had our initial call, you told me what you wanted to accomplish and why you wanted to accomplish it. And I knew it was important, and I also knew you well. And I knew that you were kind of like trying to do more and more and more instead of less and less and less. And I suffer from that. So I recognized that, and I wanted to jump in there and help with that. So that's why I pushed really hard on that. But those calls are really important. And I will say the inner game stuff is incredibly important for people to move forward and know what they're doing and why they're doing it. So thanks for that.
And it helped me get those systems down. So now it's systemized, and it doesn't need so much of me.
Right.
It's kind of rocking along on its own now.
Okay.
I think, honestly, that's where it went from 2,000 to 4,000. But the other thing is that I've gotten another $3,800 worth of business from those same customers, not recurring business.
Right.
They came back and said, hey, you did such a great job with this, can you help us with this? So I'm also establishing myself in their eyes, as an expert.
Good, good. And, we like money.
Yeah.
Anywhere, we'll take it.
Recurring, non-recurring. Things to do with more money.
That's right. All right, Ellen, you're up.
Okay, so here I am.
Yeah, now you came in, and I didn't know a lot about you. I just knew that you had come
this is stalling a little bit, so I'm assuming you're finished and I can talk now. Yeah, my goal was actually pretty big, which was not specific amount of money or anything like that, but just to revamp my whole business so that it was more automated, more systematized, so that I would make more money with less work. And I think I don't think I've completely made over my business like that yet, but all the ideas that you would give me each week, I just learned so many things. So I did things like my first Facebook ads. And one of my big successes was a bundle of products that I was retiring, and so that was $2,000 in a week that I got. And another big win was the webinar I did for the weekly free training. And so that was, you sponsoring it, and that was another $2,000, of course, which you're going to get 1,000 of. But
which is, by the way, the reason I did it.
Yes, that's the way it works. But I learned lots of different things, and basically during that period of time, as Deborah was mentioning, those intentions, having these 5 intentions every week was very powerful. So I came up with these big projects, and I basically became a product making machine and a promotion making machine during this period of time, and just did lots and lots of things. And I've come up with some really basic ideas of things like product responders and tripwires and more videos so people get to know me, and really feeling one of the things we talked about was hiding a little bit behind my writing and not getting out there because it's so easy for me to write. And so really pushing through to the end to getting people to come to me to coaching, and rather than just kind of feeding them free stuff all the time, and then sending out emails with products, but more interaction. So anyway, I think that was really valuable, and I think it will some big wins at the beginning, and I think it will come to fruition over the next few months also.
Yep. So Ellen, talk about I meant to talk about this with Deborah too, but talk about the 5 intentions, because I did not describe those very well in the process. That's something that we did every week too, right?
Right. So each week we had some general tasks that you gave us, and based on that, and based on the Monday night meeting that we had, we each chose 5 goals or 5 projects that we wanted to complete that week, and so and you had to check them off as you completed them, and so you really worked really hard to do that, and it was difficult because I also, I have a business that I run, and everything there was pretty much over and above that, because you try to push yourself a little bit more to do that, so it was very powerful.
Yeah, and thank you for that. I appreciate your time there. I'm going to talk about those 5 intentions for just a second too, because those things were included from the beginning, and it was indicative of the kind of process that this was. It was not something where I came in and gave you a step 1, 2, 3, 4, do these things. We built this coaching as we went, and it was more about identifying your goals and helping you achieve those goals. So when we met on Monday night, the reasons that we met was for me to actually say, where are you? How close are you? What's next? And for you to work down your list. And then we would validate some of those next action steps, or like in Deborah's case, I would come back and say, no, don't do that. And that worked. That really was working because I had your goals in mind as well and held you to those goals. The 5 intentions were part of that. I didn't even care what they were, but they were for you to create tasks that you guys had to go perform every week. So it was different tasks, by the way, as you moved through. So Gary, you're up. Gary Huff.
Well, thanks, David. And so the first question being, in terms of goals, I had set a pretty low goal in terms of a recurring monthly income, and then you proceeded to immediately double that goal for me, which I then hit. So that's part
Very
of,
quickly, by the way.
again, part of the example of the pushing and the coaching. That's good. Part of my business model is to be able to buy businesses and buy whole product offerings, and I had just finished closing on a deal and wanted to be able to focus my energies, be able to just take that and immediately put it into play. And I knew this would be a great time, and that's why it was just great timing with the 90 Up challenges, being able to focus my energies. And so it worked out great. And then, so the goal was to get that product moving, get it recurring income coming in, and then you challenged me again in developing, well, how about another product on top of that, an ability to do a coaching product, and so that's laid out, and we'll be talking about that in about another week or so with the NAMS Live event.
That's right.
So it's what I got out of it was a pushing to go even farther than what I had originally seen, and then easily getting past those with your help. And the other thing I would say, it's common for all of coaching, is the term scotoma. The common thought process, or the common word for it, is blind spot, right? In our eyes, there's a point where our nerve hits the back of our eye, and there are no receptors. We can't see. And it doesn't matter how smart I am or how much experience I have in a certain area. The advantage to having you as a coach and another set of eyes, and a smart set of eyes, looking and seeing my blind spots was incredible. So appreciate that, and thank you very much.
Well, it was a lot of fun to do it too, because you and I have a lot in common from where we came from, and so I understood the process. And one of the things I know about you that I love working with you is you're so methodical, and so I really had to be careful to make sure that what we were doing was laid out and visually, so you could see it. Mm-hmm. Because that's what's important to you, and it's important to me to do that as well. But staying focused again and you had a good focus. By the way, people, on December the 3rd, you're going to have the weekly live training. We're going to do the weekly live training, and Gary bought one of my favorite tools, which was the Action Machine. And you took that over from somebody, and you bought a second product from them as well. And so we're talking, what our goal was with you, as you were saying, was to take those 2 products to figure out how to create an entire new business around those 2 products. And you're going to do great with that.
Yeah, looking forward to it. And it was one of my favorite products, too. That's why I ended up buying it.
Right. Okay.
Thanks.
Sheila, you're up. And you're muted. There you go. You're unmuted.
Okay, can you hear me? I found my mic.
Oh, perfect. Perfect. Can hear you perfect.
Great, thanks.
So Sheila, you were very interesting. I loved working with you because you were somebody who was so energetic and so focused on doing what you wanted to do. You were. Once we got identified where we were headed, you would do every little task that I suggested for you. So it was really nice to do that.
Well, thank you.
Tell how we came to that.
Well, I guess even in the very beginning, even before David and I met, I wrote out some things about my experience and past and what was suggested for me. And David picked up on the photography. It had been suggested that was something not that I shouldn't be doing, but David got that. And I had been doing a photo easing for years and using my photography for inspiration, not wanting particularly to sell it. And I've kind of been getting involved in technology and everything else. I kind of dropped the photography. And what happened when David started pushing me to come up with this stock photo package, I really got back in touch with my passion for photography. And I very much appreciated also my partner, Ellen Finkelstein, we're Steins, not Steens, who also was very supportive in this and encouraging and really right there. So with that, I did get a photo package out. David suggested I get somebody to do my sales page. I know we're always talking about paying for outsourcing and how, measuring our time. And I done some small outsourcing, but that was a big breakthrough. I did some other outsourcing in addition to hiring my grandchildren. I found some other things, so that was cool.
So how many times did you want to quit?
I can't even count, David.
That's one of the things I loved about working with you on this. Was it was always, I felt like I had a rope and a lasso, and I would just lasso you and bring you back because it was moving to something that was a little scary for you, right?
Yep. And
putting it out there.
Yep. Getting out, in a different way. I mean, I've been out there, I've done things, I've sold things, I've done courses, but this still was, putting me on the line for my photography, which I know people love. I got the support in the group. I actually asked help for decision making. Mm-hmm. And very often we find ourselves in the eyes of other people, and I really got that, not only from you and Ellen, but from other people. I learned to ask for help. Mm-hmm. And our group and our insiders group was there to help that.
Good.
And Ellen and I, the structure was not that we're supposed to ask, or really it was supposed to be just a quick accountability thing, but I acknowledge Ellen. We probably met daily for about 15 minutes, sometimes up to a half hour, and we used Zoom, where we could screen share. So very often I would show her things, she would help me. She would show me things of hers, and I would help her. It was a real great partnership.
Yeah, you guys have built a good relationship out of it too. That's great.
Yes, very much so.
All right, and so your accomplishment was that you actually got your product up. You got on JV Zoo, which was a big deal, and you got it out there for sale. And now the next focus for you is to keep moving forward with marketing, right?
Yeah, moving forward with marketing that, adding that, and also I did make a huge step. I've been working, as you know, on my Kindle book for seniors using iPads, and that's near finishing, and that was really a big help, and I will be outsourcing and finding help there too.
Okay.
I thank you.
You bet. You bet. Thank you. So Stan, I don't think is here. Stan is also staying with his father, who is going through some issues. Stan, you're not here, right? I didn't think he was. Rolf, you're here, though.
Yes, sir.
So Rolf, talk to me. Tell the folks what your background was, and be brief, and talk about your background and what you came to this with, because you have a lot of technology as your background.
Yes, and for me, the different stories. I have been employed with the same company for the last 12 years. Was suddenly out of the blue laid off with 80% of the rest of the company, and David invited us to. My wife and I to NAMS, and I'm like, what am I going to do with this? For the first couple of months or weeks, I've been applying for jobs and finally saw the light and gave up on it. And that's finally when things started breaking through. My goal was to have 3 new paying customers. I actually have 4 now, so I definitely made my goal. One of the things that David has been hammering on, raise your rates, not specifically to me, but I've heard him say that on different occasions. So I raised it by 62%, and none of the new customers blinked at it. So I'm like, wow.
Yeah. Excellent.
That's really an eye-opener. As I've been going through from this finding a new job and trying to get this done and trying to understand what's NAMS, and I probably wasted a lot of time on things that I could have done otherwise, but 90 days later you see me here smiling. I make my goals. I signed up with the program from Kathy, and I really think I can make that work for me.
Right.
And one of the really interesting things you like probably hearing is one of my customers is a public speaker. Mm-hmm. And he wants to get on a bigger stage. And for the first six, I mean, he basically hired me to work on his databases. He has them all over the place. And we're now 6 weeks into it, and I haven't even touched his databases because I'm applying what I learned in NAMS to his business. Like, you know, where's your book? Well, he started on the book 3 years ago, and he's in chapter 4. Well, you know, if you want to do these things. So I've been having a blast with him by coaching him the things that we do at NAMS.
Sure.
So, you know, I'm really happy right now.
Good. I'm glad to hear that because I'll tell just a quick story about you. And I was in the church choir with your wife 10 years ago. So
Yes.
that's how I met Rolf's wife Kim long before Rolf was in the picture actually, and long before I knew Rolf. So Rolf and Kim and my wife and I were friends in Huntsville until they moved probably 3 years ago, 4?
Yeah, 2 years.
2 years. 2 years ago, and so that's how I knew Rolf. And when this happened, I was just delighted to be able to get these guys to come to NAMS because I felt like Rolf, like a lot of us, go through this period of our life where we're all in transition, and it's a real opportunity. And it was hard for you to see that this was an opportunity from the beginning.
I saw that it was an opportunity, but you know, I'm a hardcore programmer, IT person, and those are usually the introvert kind.
Right.
And as an introvert, to go out and do your marketing, do your billing, do all that stuff, even, you know, write your invoices on time, that's not typically what I do, and that is really where my lessons are.
Yeah. Yep.
I did make a big step by joining the local business association here, and that has been really helpful, and I'm learning to go out and, you know, speak to people, and so it's been a big transformation, and I still have a long way to go, but, you know, as I said, you see me smiling, and I'm on the right track.
Excellent. Congratulations. You earned it.
Thank you.
Okay, Donald, you're up.
I'm here. Hello.
Donald, you are here. Now, I told you a little bit earlier I was going to pick on you, and tell people why I would pick on you, Donald.
Well, I would assume that it is my complete lack of focus and desire to do just about everything possible at one time. So I was starting off and I really had no direction, and you kind of grabbed the bull by the horns and just said, what is it you're after? And really your questionnaire, the NAMS questionnaire, I didn't know it at first, but at the end of the 90 days when I went over it again, I'm like, it really is worth the price of
what I paid for it.
Yeah, it's awesome how it really puts everything into focus. And I printed out that whole thing, and I have that now where I can keep track of all the different areas.
Yeah, see, now people, I haven't incorporated that question. I'm glad you brought that up because the NAMS assessment has been incorporated into this 90-day challenge. That's what we use to evaluate people at the beginning, and I base our conversation on that. But what people don't understand is that when you take that at the end of the course as well, you see the improvement you've made. If you take it 6 months later, you're going to see additional improvement. So it's something that can be done, you know, just to measure yourself over time. So thanks. That was good to bring that up. I've forgotten all about that.
Yeah.
And I wanted to say about the focus thing, it was fun to work with you on the focus because you and I had talked about that at the NAMS workshop.
Correct.
You were having issues with focus. And one of the things was you had a lot of great ideas, and you know a lot of people, and you had some disposable income. And so when you had disposable income, you were like the JV Zoo king, right? You were out there buying all kinds of stuff.
Yes.
Well, we nipped that in the bud right away. That was the first thing I told you was you could not buy anything else until you talked to me about it, right?
And that worked. It worked. I have an awesome physical library, but if you ever looked at my JV Zoo library, it would dwarf the physical one.
Right. And so what you accomplished was you got your membership site started.
Correct. Membership site is up. The biggest accomplishment was really focusing on one target market and who the avatar and narrowing that down and who do I really want to serve. And that just created any other area that I was working in, brought it all into together.
Yeah.
So, and then I would say, all right, well, then I'm going to go work on this other area, and you'd reach through the screen and grab me and say, no, 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 just focus on what you're doing now. And with the affiliate marketing, the income, which was not even a trickle, turned into a trickle and is now becoming a steady source. So I'm very appreciative for that.
Well, good for you. I'm happy that it's working out. Thank you so much. Howard, you're up. Are you still there, Howard? There you are. Can't hear you, Howard. You're muted at the top up there. There you go.
How about now? Okay.
Perfect, perfect.
Right.
So tell people what happened when you came in, what your background was.
Okay, the background for the last five or 6 years has been not really free to publicize my identity because of previous careers, and to avoid conflicts of interest or things like that. I didn't really feel comfortable using pseudonyms or fake names. I wanted to be authentic, and so I just kind of flew under the radar and absorbed a lot of different things and got familiar with a lot of different areas of internet marketing, affiliate marketing, the Kindle platform, and a lot of things. But now I'm in a position where I can do more and not worry about name recognition. So I talked with you at the last NAMS when this opportunity came open, and I told you I had a newsletter that I had just begun publishing about a month or so before we talked, and I wasn't sure if that was the right niche, if it was going to be profitable. So we talked about that, and you said, well, we'll do some research on that as part of the program, which we did.
Mm-hmm.
So I jumped in. I got involved with the coaching program, and one of the first activities that had us do in our level was to take a product you had worked out an arrangement with the owner to represent as an affiliate. So I started doing that. Then I realized, well, you know, I've got this diabetes niche, which is not an internet marketing niche. I don't have any internet marketing people on a list, so it took a little while to pull everything together. So that took some extra time away from the future week or two or three down the road. But it was something that I'm glad I went through because I liked that.
Mm-hmm.
As we moved forward with the diabetic newsletter, you encouraged me to put together a product, which I did. I had some help from yourself and Deborah and Paul in putting some final touches on that, and made some changes to my website that I had. I did some marketing on that. Actually, did make some sales.
Mm-hmm.
I actually increased subscribers to the newsletter. I still had and have this nagging feeling that it's not the niche I need to be in. So I'm wrestling with that, but along the way, I had to work on some focus issues too.
Mm-hmm.
I love to learn, love to teach, but I love to find out how things work and know more about things and be able to share that and help people. So consequently, that leads to spending way too much time researching other things. And I found out on the focus end of it to be more productive. Just don't even open the emails up at all.
Sure.
Don't open Gmail, not a particular email. Just don't even open the application at all, and just commit to doing the work. And strangely enough, or not, that worked. But I did put together, like I said, I revised my website, and I actually have started a second website that's in a totally different niche, piggybacking on that one of the first exercises
Sure.
that you had us
Sure.
do with the affiliate product. And I think that's really where my interest has grown to.
Okay.
I haven't decided what to do with the niche that I entered with, if I'm going to stick with that, or just make a strategic decision to discontinue that service. So we'll see where that one leads, but I think I've got a much greater interest in doing the affiliate of different products, because it gives me an opportunity or an excuse to see new tools and new things, and an opportunity to share that information with other people.
We're going to work on that in the next 90-day up-level challenge there, Howard. We still may be working on some focus stuff. So thanks a lot for that. I was glad that you really stuck with that and focused in on that, because the product building process and the marketing funnel creation was great experience for you.
It was.
Yeah. Okay. So Kathy, you're up. You're the last one for this evening.
Okay. My goal was to do less consulting work and doing more coaching and training. I've raised my prices for some of the consulting work I do, like creating websites and stuff, and some things I don't want to get rid of. Like, I enjoy being paid to be on Facebook, so I don't mind doing the social media management thing. But I've explored other things, different ways to promote, like Craigslist, and I'm getting a lot of local clients through Craigslist and meetup groups. So I've gotten several new coaching clients. I've done some trainings, and I've done some trainings for meetup groups as well.
And one of your goals in the beginning was to create your coaching course and get that started and moving and focus on that a lot. And you really did that, right?
Yeah, and also a paid mastermind group.
Yeah, exactly.
That was the other.
So I was really happy to hear that that was working for you as well, because we spent a lot of time there, and that was excellent. And you ended up doing a lot of score work too, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I help out at SCORE and do some work for them, and I go to their trainings and I'll record them. So I've gotten some business from that too.
Okay, good. Well, thank you, Kathy. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to come back, if you don't mind, to this presentation. We're going to run through the rest of this pretty quickly. Just give me a second. Let's see. Get it up here. And that was today's students. Now, this is Millicent Perry, Therese Sparby, Paul Taubman, Stan Gould, and those folks were not here tonight. They couldn't be here, so we won't talk about what they did. They did some great work too, but we won't talk about it. So we'll go straight through. You can hear what these guys had to say about their experience if you go to nams.ws/90uplevel. That's also the sales page for the next workshop. You can hear it in their own words, nams.ws/90uplevel. Let me just copy that and put this in the chat box here as a sticky. So I'm displaying that as a sticky. You can go to that. Be sure you click on it to go to another page. And then you can see this is where we're headed to the next one. The next one starts on December the 8th, and this is the focus of what we're doing with the 90-day up-level challenge. We're really using this mantra to drive everything, which is stop learning, start doing. So if you're in one of our tracks, our goal is to actually move you to the next track, and we only want you to experience and learn what you need to know to get to the next track. If you went to college or even in high school, you would not start with Algebra 1 and then jump to advanced calculus. You just wouldn't do that. You want to go to Algebra 1, Algebra 2, trigonometry, geometry, whatever the logical process is, before you can make it to the end of that track in college or high school. We're in the same boat. That's what we're teaching in the NAMS workshop and in the NAMS, the Novice to Advanced Marketing System, and all things that we do. It is about up-level training all the way. It's called an ascension model, and that's what we do, is an ascension model. So we want to move you to the next level. We want you to take action. We want you to be accountable. And we want you to get support. That's what we do. We have 16 seats available for the next one. 2 are already taken. I've already signed up 2 people for that one. And you can go there to nams.ws/90uplevel and sign up for that. So you probably want to know how much this was. You can, excuse me. Ask Kelly, Deborah, and Ellen and others that you just talked to about what the cost of not doing this was. That's a better question. My coach is Alex Mendosian. He says this is a $25,000 program, and he would do it for no less than that. But at the same time, I've just started these programs, so I want to build up a lot of experience and a lot of background and a lot of dedicated students in this. So the first 90-day up-level challenge was at a special rate. The second is going to be at the same rate. So we're coming up on the second, which starts December the 8th. For the alumni, they get in at a really special discounted rate. The third one that comes up that will be coming up in midsummer will be at a much higher rate. We're going to bump the price on them as we go up, as we gain more experience and refine this process. So starts Monday, December the 8th, 16 seats available. Start 2015. Since it's starting in December, this is a really good jump start into 2015. It will finish, we'll take 2 weeks off for the holidays, but it will finish the week before the next NAMS workshop. Actually, I think it's 2 weeks before. And the price of it is $2,500, same as it was last time. 3 payments of $997 or $2,500 one-time payment. And you can click that button at nams.ws/90up-level, nams.ws/90up-level, and that'll take you to that page. So I'll go over there real quickly and just show you that page. Give me just a second. I have to come back out of this and grab that. So here's the page. When you get there, this is what it looks like. We have a series of videos from these folks, some of the folks that you just heard from tonight. And let me get that. I'm not seeing that. Where is it? I got to get to it. Oh, here we go. Okay, good. And when you come down, it explains the tracks. It explains how the program works. It explains what you're going to get. And then there's our wonderful Kelly here talking about what she got out of it. And you can click that button and go to the cart. And when you get to the cart, you just choose which one of these you want. The one-time payment or the 3 payments of $997. So that's how that works. So you go to nams.ws/90up-level. And that is in the sticky there. Now, if you have any questions about that, be sure and drop in your questions here so we can talk about it. If you have any concerns, if you have any kind of ideas, you have any kind of questions for any of the people that are on the call here, be sure and drop your questions in here so we can get those questions answered. It always takes a little bit of time, a little bit of a lag here, so I'm going to wait just a couple of seconds. If you guys would undo your mic, just to unmute yourselves, come back on the line here. And I wanted to say to all of you, thank you so much for doing this and being part of the first one. I thought it was great. I really enjoyed having you as part of the first one, and congratulations on making it through.
Thank you.
Thank you, David.
Thank you.
Thanks, David.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, thank you, definitely. It's great.
Any last thoughts from anybody before we run out?
I have an observation.
Okay.
I think the only person whose faces are along the bottom there that didn't say they had a lack of focus or a problem with focus was Gary. I think every one of the rest of us, or maybe Kathy too, but I think all of the rest of us at some point mentioned that the one thing that this did, or one of the things that this course did, was help us get focused and get get really focused to get the results that we were looking for.
Yeah, and I appreciate that, because that's the biggest issue a lot of folks have. So Lisa has a question. Will we be able to send you docs to look at in between calls so that you can see what we are working on? So what you can do is post in the Facebook group for everybody to look at it and give you feedback, and I will do that as well. So it's a participatory kind of thing. It's a group effort, and I'm the facilitator of that group, and I get highly involved with people in this too. So yes, you'll get people to look at it. Anybody else have a question? John Paduchek says, congrats to everybody. John is, by the way, is already signed up for the next one, so we're excited. We're excited.
Great. The mentor-mentee thing, I think it works really well as well. Kathy was extremely supportive. She was my mentor, and I was mentor to Millicent.
Yep.
You know, that is a great part of it, because you have that daily connection, and we didn't always speak every single day, but Kathy and I pretty much spoke via Skype. A couple of times we spoke by phone. And
cocktail hour.
Cocktail hour, yeah. I wasn't going to admit to that. Friday afternoon cocktail hours. Okay, the story's out now.
All right. All right. So I really appreciate you guys being here again, and I'm going to go ahead and close this down. We're past our hour. So if there are any questions, you guys can reach out to me. Lisa says she's in, so I'm glad you're here, Lisa. I'm glad you're jumping in on this. It'll be great. You'll enjoy it. So if you guys have any questions, reach out to me via email or via Facebook, and I can answer any questions you have about this. So we're going to close this pretty quickly, though. As soon as we hit 16, we're going to be done with this and move right into the next group. So 16, by the way, is important because it's 4 groups of 4. We want to keep those groups small. That's really important, to keep the groups as small as possible. We could go 20, but it really would be good to have 4 groups of 4, and we want to keep even numbers so that we have mentor-mentee relationships. So love to have you in, and thank you guys for joining me on this.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
guys.
David.
Thank
Talk
you.
to you
Have a good
soon.
night.
Bye-bye.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Good luck with your dad tomorrow.
Thank you.
Yeah. Hope it all